Alkaline Life Coach, and this is the Alkaline Vegan Podcast, number 18. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about awakening, alkaline awakening, down the rabbit hole. You might have already gone down the rabbit hole, you might just be entering the rabbit hole, but either way, welcome to the rabbit hole, and this is just the beginning. So if you're new to the channel, or if you're new to going alkaline, then this is the right place. I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about several different awakenings that I had in my, some people call this a journey, but in my life. So what brought me to this point, and what did I have to go through? Not everything. I'm just going to talk about the awakenings that I had that started about 8 years ago. So I was, let's just get right into it, actually. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and we'll just dive right in. So I was a vegetarian for a long time, way before I went vegan. And I didn't think I never thought about going vegan. I never wanted to go vegan or anything like that. And this is a lot of this period of my life. I talk a lot about setting goals, and I talk a lot about manifesting. Well, there was a midterm period before my long-term goals, and before, there was this cloudy part where I couldn't see what was going to happen. And it's really interesting now because I'm in that part right now, and I have been for the last few years. So I couldn't see what was going to happen next, but I knew something had to change. And I think the most important part, what I want to talk about, is knock and the door will be opened. Because you have to be looking for an answer. You have to be asking a question to get an answer. So you're not just going to find out everything, unlock the secrets of life by never asking and never looking. I was actively seeking answers and seeking information. And not all information is in a book. So the different awakenings that I had, thank you for the thumbs up, I appreciate that. The different awakenings that I had were not necessarily from a book or from some specific, salam as well, not from some specific course or something like that. Happy to see you as well. So a lot of these things now I've made my own course, because in hindsight I can connect some of the dots. But I talk a lot about holistics, which is body, mind, and spirit. And there's some, let me move this a little closer. There's some information out there about the chakras. And a lot of people just think that that's a bunch of nonsense or whatever. It's just because it's from another language translated. All that means is an energy center. It's like a spinning of energy in our body. So because I studied martial arts, I can understand this definitely, because you use, when you are using your body for athletics and, difficult things, movements, and demanding, a lot of energy out of yourself, then you can tell when you're in good condition and when you're not. It's easy to tell. And, you know, when you're doing yoga or something like that, if you've been doing it for years, then you know when you're when you're on, you know when you're more tight than usual, you know when, you know, you get in tune with your body eventually. You might not be in tune with it right now, but there are different levels of awareness that you can awaken to. So first I was thinking there were three main awakenings that I had. But then once I started thinking about it to video, there were several more that happened that took experience. This is going to experience different. This is going to be different for each person. What's going on with my internet? All right, I'm having a poor internet connection. Is it back on? Well, I have the best possible internet ever, and it should be extremely fast. So this is all right. It seems to be working properly. So let's get back on track. So the first major awakening that I had was really personal, and all of them actually were. Talking about it is kind of strange. It's like telling something secret. Also, it was not something necessarily verbal. So to verbalize it can be misleading, or, you know, I'm trying to take something that might be more abstract and put it to words. You're going to lose some of the essence of what actually happened, but it's worth talking about anyway. So keep in mind, this is the best I can do by describing. And maybe you've had some similar experiences like this. But I was looking for answers. I was looking for, who am I? Like, what's my talent? Now in hindsight, it's obvious. This was over 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago, that I'm referencing. And now this is all obvious to me. Also, if you have a mentor, someone who's already been there, done that, then they can help guide you. If they're older than you or have more experience than you, they can easily say, oh, you know, do this next, or this might happen next. You know, meeting some key people in the last 10 years or more helped me to level up and helped me to be able to see around the mountain, around the curve, because you can only see so far ahead, and then you have to get to that point into the future where now you can see around the bend. So I'm trying to, in hindsight, give you some outlook that can help you from my perspective. That I say this often, but there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into the information on this channel. So these come from the really brutal lessons in life that now it translates into well-being and wealth, happiness, stuff like that. But those are, wealth is easier to measure than happiness. Definitely. It's good to measure though, because what gets measured gets accomplished. So my first big awakening, and I'm sure I had awakenings as a child as well, because I was doing visualization exercises as a child. I didn't even know what it was or what it was called. But what happened about 10 years ago, from a combination of different things, from going vegetarian, I was already a black belt, but from years of experience doing yoga, meditation, changing my diet, things like that. About 10 years ago, I was at a transitioning point in my life. It was pretty much after I graduated. And I took my time to graduate, but because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. I was doing extremely well in school, but what is that? Once you graduate, you realize that, well, I realized that I had to unlearn and relearn everything all over again. Because even though I got straight A's in my major, that doesn't necessarily teach you how to get results in your life, unfortunately. Wouldn't it be nice if it did? So this is when I had to start relearning about life, because I was out of school finally, and good riddance. But what I found out when I took a step and I changed my diet for the first time, I had been vegetarian for a while, but I started, really diving into certain health practices and focusing in on my meditation, let's say. So I had this one event in particular that I can point back to that was a turning point in my life where I saw, I was just about to say I saw into the future, but I think a lot of people would then say, oh, that's bullcrap or whatever. Well, I'm just trying to explain something. It's not like, you don't have to believe that, it's not exactly the words. It's just the explanation to get an understanding. You don't have to hang on to every single meaning of every word, or the story will never get told. So I had a visualization of something very powerful, and it was like, I thought it was the past, and I had a feeling like a warm blanket wrapped around me. Well, I'm pretty sure I did have an actual blanket wrapped around me, but I had this feeling and this visualization of something happening. And yeah, I'm having a hard time putting it to words, but bear with me, because things happened in my real life later that are measurable, that I can point to, that I can say, okay, that was that happening. And oftentimes in my life, I'll have not the entire picture yet, but some key points, and I'll take action anyway, because I got a clear green light, or you don't always have to wait for the green light. I often don't wait for the green light. I'm always taking action, but sometimes at that point in my life, I was looking for more of a direction rather than a green light. I was already green, go. So that part, some people don't take enough action. I'm not one of those people. I take a lot of action and then find out later. So it's good to fail early if you're still young. fail early and fail often, and learn from your mistakes. Don't just fail without measuring and learning. Each time you fail, tweak it a little bit more. If you fail again, tweak it a little bit more, and eventually you'll be on target. So this was before I moved overseas. And within a month or so of that experience, and I had a few days of this. I was going through something, and I could tell it was happening. And I was taking some herbs and stuff like that. And I was vegetarian. I wasn't alkaline yet, and I didn't know about it at that point. But I was definitely, at one point I remember quitting processed food and stuff like that. I don't remember exactly what I was eating, but I was eating pretty well for my age, and something was happening, definitely. I was growing up, I guess, and venturing into the real world, people call it. A lot of air quotes. So I got a job at a huge company, and I took a business opportunity in another country. And that was a hard transition, but I was on a mission. So those visualizations, one of them was about relationships. And the one about relationships, the epiphany was to put my foot down and not to settle, or not to compromise on my what's good for me. I guess to be more selfish, to get what I actually want. Someone I want. Not trying to get something you want out of someone that's not the right person. No, about finding the right person, and also about the quality of life with that relationship. It was like a gut feeling I had, where it was after a meditation where I had an epiphany, and then I put my foot down, like enough is enough. And then that was before I traveled overseas. So what's interesting is that within a month of that, I met my now wife. And that was an interesting, I think I have a video about that from a couple years ago, but that was a very easy and seamless relationship. And yeah, of course, marriage is not always easy, but compared to most people's marriages, I think mine's pretty easy. Although, sometimes there are ups and downs, but in general, this epiphany, I can look back to that and I can say that was definitely a manifestation from that, because before then I was having really terrible struggles with relationships in business and in personal life. So recently, my relationships, personal and business, are better than ever. Definitely, hands down. Wow, actually, if I really think about it, really, really thankful. And wow, if I look at my life now and compare it, it's so different, like black and white. So definitely things have changed for the better. Hallelujah. Because although I was succeeding in certain things in my life when I was younger, I was failing at certain things. And relationships and business were probably both of them. So now looking back on that, there was another awakening I had around that same time where it was a physical, it's the closest I can come to it from what I've researched. People who talk about heart chakra opening. And it's a really powerful, I don't know if I should call it an experience. It's something like a leveling up that happens where, well, there are different chakras, if you don't know about that. They're energy centers in your body. And basically, we're electrical. We're not, most of our body is water, and we conduct electricity. So there's like a current of electricity through our body. I learned about this in martial arts, not in the same terminology. I'm just combining different things that I've learned and trying to mesh it all together to something that makes sense. Does this make sense? Let me know in the comments. If something doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll try to clarify. So the chakras, the energy flows up and down our spine and then up our front. And I've also heard about this in Tantra. There's also Tantric yoga. There's a lot of different ancient studies that talk about these kind of things. It hasn't all been lost in modern times, but it's not that popular nowadays. However, if you do the breathing techniques and other things I mention in this channel, you will feel some type of energy flow, that's for sure, something powerful and unmistakable. There's no question about it. It's not very subtle, it's powerful. So once you know what it is, you know what it is. And it's also called Qigong, I think, as well. So that's kind of becoming popular these days, little by little. And so I had this health epiphany and this relationship epiphany around the same time. And this is when, after this though, I had a lot of health struggles. And in my research in the years since then, this was about 10 years ago, a lot of people who become healers, which I don't claim to be a healer or anything like that. I'm just sharing information. You can heal yourself. That's up to you. And I'm not, I don't claim to be a healer because I think you can do it yourself. But anyway, I've heard people talk about before they became a healer, they had some kind of really awakening or epiphany and life-changing event, and then followed by some health traumas. And that's really interesting. So I had problems after going overseas. I never really was healthy there for about 6 years and had to come back, and thankfully I tell that story, in the going alkaline story whenever I talk about that in other videos, so I'm not going to mention it here. But it's interesting how you can have a breakthrough and make a lot of progress, and then you can become really sensitive, and it seems like you are going backwards. But that's, once you break through the terror barrier that I talk about in other, once you try to level up, or once you do level up, then you can have some strong forces pulling you backwards that are the old paradigm, the old habits, all your old habits are still there. And sometimes they can be like an invisible force that feels like it's pulling you back, but it's okay. Knowing about it is part of the weapon against it. Knowing that that happens often as a part of success can help you through those difficult times. Just knowing about it, that that's a common thing. Whenever you really go for it, whether it be for health or for something else, then you can experience a strong tug, negative tug. But if you keep consistently after your goal, you will make the change permanent eventually. And that can take some time, but depending on how persistent you are, the more persistent you are, the quicker the change. That's why I have a 12-week program, and that's why I'm coaching people. It's easier when you have a coach or some team or some group or some program to follow step by step. If, when I was changing my life, sometimes there was no program or there was no mentor or support group, and that was the most difficult points. So that's some of the reason why I'm making all these videos and offering support, because I know how brutal it can be sometimes when you feel like you're on your own or it's never going to change, or all those potential doubts. But don't listen to those doubts, and thank you for those thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So then the next big epiphany, well, when I had that heart chakra, that's the easiest way to describe it. That was followed by a really intense experience that, hola, hello Ingris, thank you for tuning in and commenting, I appreciate that. This experience, looking back in hindsight, years later, I saw a mandala in a Buddhist calendar that I got from a shop. I think I got it free from a Buddhist shop. I was buying incense or something. And months later in the calendar, I saw it. And it was the exact vision that I had. And it was like years later. So it was kind of like, whoa. I had goosebumps and I had a really strong connection or something to, and I felt like that artist, whoever made that mandala, had that same vision. I don't know the story of it or anything, but I got a really powerful connection. And also, I was living on a volcano island that was supposedly a vortex. And you hear like the new age people talking about that kind of thing. But the earth has energy, definitely. So it's, supposedly there was a very strong energy center in that island. And I had some crazy experiences on that island. I had another awakening. One time there were 2 typhoons crossing, and they were crossing in a different direction. And I lived at this point, now I'm fast forwarding now years from when I was just talking about 10 years ago. I'm jumping ahead to maybe 6 years ago now. I'm jumping ahead maybe 5 years after the couple stories I was originally telling. So now fast forward to I'm on an island, volcano, vortex. I lived right in front of the ocean. Well, we had 2 tiny little houses and a little shed. You could go up on the roof, and see there was like a field and then the ocean. It was pretty epic, and I have actually I have a painting I did of that, and I have so many pictures and videos. That's where I started my channel. You can probably see me in some original video of mine in my backyard with the ocean in the very background, I think. So this was like right when I was maybe before I started the channel, and the two typhoons were crossing, and I went up on that shed with the platform, and like I walked up those steps, and it was like slow motion, and when I got on top the platform, like it was one of those moments like it was like an eternity condensed into one instant, where I'm trying to slow it down so I can explain it, but it was just a moment. But the two typhoons were crossing, and then the ocean is right there, and like it was like two different storms, but right between them was blue sky, and then they were coming this way over top, and it's like whenever you're right in front of the ocean, it's extremely impactful anyway, but this was like really intense, like the fear of God, but it wasn't. So I had this life-changing moment where whatever between the clouds, like between these two fronts coming in, it just struck me and almost just blew me over and knocked me off of that building. And my friend was right behind me, and I was like, oh, I like stumbled backwards and was just like cowering at the power of God or something like that. And I got some kind of reaction, like a voice, not really a voice, but like a response, like my inner reaction to it. Or like this happened also when I had an awakening 5 years earlier, when I had that powerful heart chakra opening. There was a vision and a feeling that accompanied it, and it was like an intense love, kind of like it was like an all-knowing. I know this sounds crazy to some people, but it was as if I think it was the Christ consciousness, the awakening, either the heart chakra or the crown chakra opening up, and it was like like a light, like a powerful gold beam just bursting out and just shooting out of my chest. That's the best way I can describe it. I know that it sounds dramatic, but it was. And it was life-changing, one of those moments that you can't really explain it. I'm trying my best, but it's doing it no justice. It's kind of like when I climbed Mount Fuji and took a picture of the sunrise. Yeah, the picture is amazing, but being there, you had to be there. So that was quite amazing inside. But then 5 years later, it was the natural thing sparking it. And then, both times I had like not really a voice, but like an intuition right after. And I don't know if that's the consciousness coming in and trying to make sense out of it. The first time, now I was a little uncomfortable talking about this, but I think this is a good place, and my channel is the best place to share my experience. So it's my channel, I might as well. My thought after, my intuition after the heart chakra opening, after like when I'm recollecting, like becoming a human again, or coming like rematerializing. I don't know how to describe that either. But I felt like a question. It wasn't a definite answer. It was a question like, was that... well, too many words will even ruin it even more. So it was like, I was questioning like Buddha, and then it's funny, years later, the calendar, when I saw that mandala, I hope I saved that calendar. I don't know if I did. That was awesome. Wow. So I got that calendar for free at a Buddhist shop. They give them out maybe around the Lunar New Year or something like that. And then to see, I think I saw that mandala the same day of that typhoon crossing. Yeah. It all comes together. It all comes together. And it was me, though. I was the Buddha or whatever it was. And at that point in my life, I had no idea what that even meant. I had no experience with Buddhism, really. However, I had lived in Japan, but I don't know what was Buddhist and what wasn't. Like, no one really... I don't know if I had any Buddhist friends who like took me anywhere. I did go to at least one, I went to one Buddhist temple in Japan because I have a picture of myself there. But I don't know, like, no one taught me anything or anything like that. So I don't know what that was at that point. And then years later, it came back when I saw that same vision. It was like that person that made that mandala on the calendar had that same exact experience as me, because their painting was exactly what I had felt. So that connected me definitely to the collective conscious, or whatever you want to call it, God or something. And I'm careful what to call it, because calling it names changes it. So that was a different type of awakening, where I saw the darkness, and I saw Satan. It doesn't want to be named, and it doesn't want to be called out, because it's a coward bully. And when you catch it lurking, it scurries away and hides. It's really interesting. I've had this epiphany more than once, and it's an empowering feeling when you discover it. because it's part of you. And you need to being aware of it is how to fight back. Because, embracing it or loving it or allowing it, whatever you want to, surrendering or praying, or there's a lot of reactions, but this is the experience I had after the 2 typhoons and the fear of God, for lack of a better word. It wasn't a fear, it was more like the blue color struck me to my core, and I got a message that was, tell everyone. That was the message, and I was really confused for a while by that, actually, because I owned a bar, I was selling alcohol, I was in a band, I didn't have this channel yet. So I was like refreshed with this new mission to tell everyone, but I didn't know what exactly to tell. So I was into personal development, and I was also in the middle of a paradigm shift. So I was the best I could figure to tell everyone was to tell people they have greatness within them. Or now I think the message is the kingdom of heaven is here now. That's what Jesus was telling people in the New Testament. The kingdom of heaven is here. That's what he was teaching his disciples to go out and teach. That's the message he was telling. The kingdom of heaven is here now. Wow. That's misunderstood, isn't it? I definitely think it's a misunderstanding. And once you tap into the power of now, there's a book called The Power of Now. I've only read a little bit of it, but once you tap into the present, the power of this moment, you can tap into it, and it's like a force that once you get your body, your mind, and your spirit, I think that you have to get all of them tuned up. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's spiritual. And the spiritual epiphany that I had about Satan, it's so weird. Like I never expected to have that. What happened was that I was already in another realm after experiencing those 2 typhoons and everything. Like I was keyed up, like Napoleon Hill would say. My vibration was on another level. So, and I was always looking for a way to sustainably get to the next level and keep those epiphanies flowing and permanent and not have them hit and miss. Years going by in between sometimes. But, well, I've definitely achieved that now, years later, a decade later, at least. But anyway, so my wife put some music on. We were back in our bar restaurant then. It was later in the day. And then she put some music on the sound system, and we were closed. There were no customers or anything. And like the music was something I never heard before. And I'm a musician. I play several instruments, and I'm really I'm picky with music, but I'm tuned into it. You know, if that's why I'm picky with it. But so anyway, I just thought I should make that note. So she put some music on, and it came on, and my first feeling was like, ugh. And it was like some kind of electronica or something. And I usually don't like that kind of stuff. Quote unquote, unquote, unquote. That's what the voice in my head said. And then I caught myself. This was like an awareness level up, where I caught myself thinking, and I looked at my thoughts from the outside, where they were holding me back. And I realized that, what is that limiting me? What is that voice in my head that was like, oh, I hate this music? And then I was like, wait a minute, why do I hate it? And like this all happened in a split second, and I'm trying to describe a feeling. So by the time I was done having the thought, I was like, screw it, just dance. And I'm not like a dance kind of guy, you can probably tell. But I just started dancing, and it was what I needed. It was what I needed so badly. It was like dance and cry at the same time. It was like all the emotions came out. And whatever that in my head was holding me back, it was unnecessary. Like, why do I need to hate a certain music or not? Why am I judging everything? And it was so judgmental, and I just cut it loose. And it was so freeing after that. And I just, I became free and just danced. It was like a spiritual... It sounds so weird and hippie-ish or whatever when I talk about it, but it's not. It's so important and powerful, or else I wouldn't be bringing it up. And I think it's experiences like that lead to my success in business and life, because I have those things to pull from. And what I discovered that day was the negativity. It was me hiding. It was like, it's so familiar that you're always listening to the habitual thinking, the self-talk. That's what they call that in the books, in some books. And negative self-talk. That's what they call it. And that's seriously hurting a lot of people. And to be able to get the awareness to discover your self-talk, your negative self-talk, and look at it like a spectator from the outside. Aha! It's like you shine a light on it, and it's afraid of being looked at. And once you get over that first slight feeling of guilt or whatever, then you just feel power, love, strength, power, energy, infinity, knowledge, it's like effortless coming out. That negative self-talk, once you cut it off, you're free. And it's such a powerful thing. I wish that for everyone. I think that's what most people want in life. And many people, I don't know if they ever get lucky enough or if they ever do what it takes or whatever it is. But I have a lot of videos talking about this kind of thing, and you can get there via health, you can get there via fasting, you can get there via stretching, meditation. There's not just one way to get there, but I think that's what everyone is trying to do. Once I experienced it, I felt like, oh man, everyone needs this and wants this. And they're looking for it in the wrong places. And I used to own a bar, and I would see people like trying to hook up. I would see people drinking their sorrows away. I would see, decently good people, artists or whatever, creative, just drinking from boredom. And there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things, but really life is really simple now, I think, in hindsight. Health is the most important thing, and the people you surround yourself with. If two things are going to impact you the most, that's it. Surround yourself with wealthy people, you're going to be wealthy eventually. It would be hard not to. Surround yourself with losers and you're going to be a loser. It'd be hard not to. And surround yourself with healthy people, you're going to get healthier. Now, there aren't really any out there. I've looked. But that's what this channel is all about. And, we've got some people here, and I'm trying to bring, I interviewed someone the other day, and we'll do more stuff like that in the future. So there is a community, an alkaline tribe growing slowly but surely. But yeah, there's not that many good people. But that doesn't mean there aren't any. There are some. It's rare, but find them. And if you can't find any, become one. And then they'll find you. Or when you do find one, you'll attract. So the other types of awareness that I've had, the physical health, when I finally went alkaline, I basically went vegan and then went alkaline right after, because vegan really wasn't, by that point, I wasn't going vegan to go vegan. I was going vegan just to go alkaline, and I just went alkaline right after. It took some time in the beginning because I didn't have my program created and there wasn't something I could follow, or I did reach out to some people and got no response, and it was difficult to figure out. So, now, since that was years ago, now I have a program a 12-week program that, I didn't have it. I would have loved it when I was going through all that. And that was the health awareness, the final, well, not the final, but another awakening I had was when I was trying to go alkaline. This was like 4 years ago. I was trying to go alkaline, and it was like, you probably know how it is if you're watching this. And I went on vacation and I was going for it. This was when I was really trying to do it. But on the vacation, I was still like I was having a cheap vacation because I was on vacation or whatever. And I rarely ever go on vacation. I usually just work 7 days a week, year after year, because but anyway, I went on a vacation out of town, out of state, and I got a chance. Sometimes it's good to get out of your zone, get out of your comfort zone. It's always good to get out of your comfort zone and take a refresh, especially if you're trying to change your life or just, it's good to refresh things and get out of the daily grind. So I was out of state, I was visiting other people and traveling and finally going alkaline. And it was when I was on vacation that I finally was like, okay, enough is enough. I'm going alkaline, because I had something like jackfruit, something that was just so acid, and it just effed my stomach, and it ruined my vacation. It was ruining my vacation, and like I just said, I hadn't been on vacation in years. Even though I lived right in front of the ocean, I was still just nonstop working and starting new businesses. So that nasty stuff I ate on vacation, and maybe even alcohol, and it just wrecked me physically for days. That's just not something that I can, click my fingers and I'm fine now. No, it just wrecked me for days and ruined and actually I'm remembering the trip in detail now, and it's a smart choice that I finally made. And then when I got back from the vacation, I remember seeing leftover rice in the fridge and just taking one look at it and going, it's going to do that to me again. It's going to give me that acidosis, carbonic acid in the stomach, and it's just going to swamp me and make me a miserable turd for days. And why would I want to be like that? No way. Not worth it. And I'd already been through the ringer. I'd already been through chronic disease for years. So this wasn't just a little thing. This was like the ending of a decade or more long transition that I didn't know was a health transition. Now I know now I think health is the first thing to do. When I was starting out, I was going the psychology route. And I mentioned in my other videos that I've been studying psychology for over 15 years. And I thought that was what was going to give me happiness and well-being, and give me to be able to help everyone, to be able to help you or whoever else. But no, I don't know. I don't think so now. I think health is more impactful and easier to take control of. It's not necessarily easy, but it's easier than reprogramming your habits and your psychology. But you have to do, they go hand in hand. You're a multifaceted being with a psychology, so both are important, and they're, both are needed to make a transition, to make an actual change and to make it permanent. Yeah, you're going to have to get the whole holistic body, mind, and spirit. I know from experience, because just having a spiritual awakening didn't do it for me. I still had a hard, and honestly, each time I had an awakening, like a mental or a spiritual awakening, my health became more challenging. like I became more sensitive almost. And that's not a bad thing. That sounds like it would be a bad thing, but it's good because I finally honed in and solved a bunch of my problems that other doctors don't know about and couldn't solve. So I ended up leveling up throughout all that several times, and each time leveling up a huge step. And the people around me changed each time, because when you level up and you try to go back to the same BS, you can't do it. And sometimes that can look like a bad thing. Like if you need, like I've been fired, or I've quit jobs, or I've moved to a different country, or sometimes you need to make big changes to get results. And yeah, health is easier because you don't have to move. Fasting is relatively easy. Relatively, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, find someone to ask in person. Don't just go from a video. But that's everything I wanted to talk about. We just went over an hour mark for the video. And wow, there's a lot. I could keep going, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And if you have questions, I will elaborate. If not, I will get going. The weather is finally heating up where I am. I'm very thankful. And I've been walking or biking to keep my mind fresh. I'm in the middle of a business deal. For those that, while I wait for you to type questions, if you have any, I'm just rambling about what's going on recently with me. It's still not, we still didn't close the deal, so we'll see. It's gonna be the next couple days, but I'm more patient than I usually am. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably good. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. I appreciate that. If anyone has any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will answer your question before I get going. But this is about the time that I wrap up the video. So if you don't have any questions, I will sign out. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so I'll give you a little bit of time to type, but I won't give too much time. So ask now. And then I'll be live again next on Sunday. So I've been going live Sunday through Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, give or take. I've been late a couple times, but I've been mostly on track. And it's just I made up the schedule. It just seems like a good time of day for me to squeeze it in. I have been pretty busy though, actually, and I'll keep them up 5 days a week as long as I can. But if my other businesses that I have start rocketing to the moon, then my videos might change style. Hopefully they'll improve with that. We'll see. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in all the way till the end. If you want to go alkaline and you're having a tough time transitioning, I do have a 12-week transformation program. That's not for everyone. I don't take everyone as a client, but you can reach out to me. There's a link in the description, and I do give free consultations. So, but that being said, it is difficult to shift over. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. be doing the coaching. So I do have several clients right now, actually, and I can only handle probably 2 more. So I'm probably gonna close the program up at some point. If you have been watching and thinking about that, now's a good time to hit me up about that. But if not, keep watching. I have more than 200 free videos here on my YouTube channel. So dive in. There's so much info, more than you could probably digest in one sitting. And thank you for all the new subscribers that have been tuning in. I've seen a lot of new people coming on live and commenting, and I appreciate you. So I'll see you in the next video, which will be Sunday around 5:30 Eastern Time, live. Make sure to hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified when I go live. That way you'll be able to ask questions live right when, you'll be able to catch me at the beginning rather than the end of the video. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Peace.